This is Dr. Z, Zachary Brooks, and I'm here with my friend Goodyear, and this is my podcast about bilingual decision making. Today I'm going to talk about a subject I chose for my dissertation. A dissertation is like doing homework for 2 years. It sounds like a bad decision. In some cases it is, because it certainly drives you crazy when you're doing this homework for 2 years. But in the end, I ended up with something I find super fascinating called bilingual decision making. So I'm recording this podcast from your favorite local library. It's an awesome place. Check it out sometime. So today I'm going to start geeking out about bilingual decision making and invite you to come with me and share your own thoughts about a topic I find fascinating, but even better, a topic that everyone can and does have an opinion on. The reason why is because almost all of us interact with people who come from different language and cultural backgrounds. And since we live in an interconnected world, we might as well do it very well. So once again, this is Dr. Z. Zachary Brooks with my friend Goodyear, talking about bilingual decision making. Hello, this is Dr. Z, Zachary Brooks, talking about bilingual decision making. This is episode 9 of 9, until I make 10. I'm podcasting from your favorite local library with my good friend Goodyear. So in episode 8, we looked at eye tracking and an eye tracking experiment in which we looked at differences between readers. Inken and her colleagues, I was one of those colleagues, what we wanted to find out is if beginning readers and advanced readers of Spanish would read the same sentences differently. So what we did is we created 24 sentences and changed just one word. The words were either high frequency or low frequency. And they were determined by a search in a database. The database is called the Corpus del Español, with 2.1 billion words. This whole subfield of linguistics is called corpus linguistics. Corpus means a large collection of things, but in Latin its origin means body. In Spanish, the word for body is el cuerpo. So in this case, you can hear the connection between corpus and body when you use Spanish, el cuerpo. At any rate, we used a database, and in the database you search for a word. And when you search for a word and you get a result, the result will tell you how often that word is used. And then there's a list of words, and some words are used very frequently, such as the, and some words are used very infrequently, such as supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I think that's a word. Anyway, I digress. So with the words chosen from this Corpus del Español, from this database, the researchers had participants read sentences, and then we analyzed their eye patterns. Beginning and advanced readers slowed down when reading on low-frequency words. But beginning readers continue to have problems on subsequent words after the low-frequency word. Hello, this is Dr. Z, Zachary Brooks, Bilingual Decision Making. We're in episode 9, 9 of 9. You've done 8 so far. This is the 9th, and maybe there'll be a 10th, but for now, this is the last one. So in this episode, we talked a little bit about eye tracking, but now we're going to turn our attention to a game. And I really love these experiments. They're super fascinating. And this one is called the ultimatum game. And it's used mostly by behavioral economists. So for people who know American football, behavioral economists are like flashy wide receivers. They get to play games, and they get lots of attention. So while other academics are like offensive linemen doing all the grunt work, these guys get all the attention because they're doing research that's really fascinating, and everyone kind of gets excited about games. So the ultimatum game was first developed by the ultimate German-sounding group of researchers named Goethe, Schmidberger, and Schwarze in 1982. And in fact, the researchers did their work in Köln or Cologne in West Germany, so long ago, before the wall came down, a very long time ago. But 1982 might sound like a long time ago, but as far as economic games go, it's really, really modern. So what the trio did is they developed a game in which participants had to optimize a solution together, and there were 2 participants in the ultimatum game. So here's the scenario in 6 parts. Let's say you're walking down the street, and a person stops and gives you some money with some conditions. There's a stranger who suddenly comes closer, sensing that money could be involved. You don't know this person, but suddenly they're close to you. This is important because this person will become very important to you in just a second. The person who gives you money says you are the first person in the game, and the stranger, suddenly very interested in all of your money, is the second person in the game. The person who gives you the money tells you the following directions. First, the first person is called the proposer, and this person is the one who has the money. That's you. The first person must offer some of this money to the second person. This is the rule of the game. So the person, the proposer, is given some money, but when given some money, the first person has to offer some of this money to a second person. Rule number 3, the second person, called the responder, is the stranger who suddenly came up to talk to you. The second person can accept or reject the proposal. If the second person accepts the proposal, the money is split based on the offer. If the second person rejects the proposal, both players receive nothing. So I'll go through the rules once again. First rule, the first person is given money. The second rule, the first person offers some of this money to a second person. Rule number 3, the second person is called the responder. The second person can accept or reject the proposal. That's rule number 4. Rule 5, if the second person accepts the proposal, the money is split based on the offer. That's rule number 5. And rule number 6, if the second person rejects the proposal, both players receive nothing. So let's put this example in some real terms. You're walking down the street and you were handed 10 United States dollars, and immediately you have to make a decision. Once you make your decision, your offer, then the game is now out of your control. So the question is, if you're handed 10 US dollars, how much do you offer? Do offers and rejections change depending on the language and culture in which offers are made? And we're back. Dr. Z, Zachary Brooks, talking about bilingual decision making, episode 9. We're talking about the ultimatum game. And when we left off about questions about how you would behave in the ultimatum game, in which you are gifted $10. The only way you can keep any of it is to offer some of this money to a stranger. How would you behave? And how do you think people would behave from different cultures or different languages? How would they change their offer behaviors and their rejection behaviors? So that's the question a team of researchers from Holland asked. So Oosterbeek, Sloof, and Van de Keulen in 2004 said, we're going to look at this. And what they actually did, they did a huge thing, and they created a meta-analysis. A meta-analysis is really one of the geekiest things you can do. This means that you like studying so much that you want to combine not just 1 or 2 experiments, but many experiments. So for Oosterbeek and his friends, they combined 75 experimental results from the ultimatum game for their meta-analysis. What they found is that across all experiments in all regions of the world, 25 countries in total, the average proposal is 40%. So that means in our scenario, you would offer $4 over numerous trials with strangers in an attempt to optimize your profits and avoid the risk of losing all the money. You're given $10, you offer 4, you keep 6, and you give 4. That seems to be, around the world, the optimal solution, averaged among 75 studies. Also, across all experiments and regions of the world, the average rejection rate is 16%. So no matter where you go in these regions of the world, no matter what, you have a rejection rate of 16%. So that person, rather than getting $1, would rather punish you for offering $1 than accepting the $1. That's what that means. So one key insight from this game is that people are not always selfish. They have competing financial, emotional, and social motivations. So I shared previously this meta-analysis by Ustabich and his colleagues is that there are no significant differences among the offers among and between the regions of the world. But there is a difference in response behavior. Asian responders have higher rejection rates than people in the United States, for example. What's interesting about this result is that researchers couldn't find a relationship between higher rejection rates and countries' individualism, power distance, trust, competition, income, or income disparity levels. I actually love this result again. As a person who studies things, I should want to find differences so I can brag about my work as a researcher. Much of academia works like that. Don't forget that. I love this result because it shows how interconnected we are and helps isolate moments in which our language and our culture variations show significant differences. In the meta-analysis, the investigators found one significant difference, but they couldn't explain it in any language or cultural variable. It was just a difference that was observed statistically. What are differences in your life? What kind of things do you observe in your life as a bicultural speaker or a person who traverses multiple cultures daily? Can you think of an explanation for those differences? If so, great. If not, also great. Keep observing and wondering with an open mind and an open heart to advance human science and human life on Earth. Hello, this is Dr. Z, Zachary Brooks, talking about bilingual decision making. This has been the 9th podcast on bilingual decision making, and for now it's the final one until I make another one. I hope you appreciate how speaking another language can help you see the world in a whole new way and how sometimes decisions can vary. Subscribe to Dr. Z, dr-z.net to learn more about bilingual decision making. In the meantime, happy deciding.